It's the habits that we create that build up for the results that we can expect for our goals.
I don't think our audience cares at all about perfection. They care about your genuine, sincere experience and your ability to connect with them right where they are.
Whatever you've missed, there's always opportunity to come back and get on camera again.
I really think if we can just get out of our own way, that's half the battle.
Let's talk about getting on camera. Let's talk about showing your face on camera, our experiences with it, our opinions on it, and how important it is, and all these other things. So I'm going to start by asking you a question, if that's okay. Your first time going live, what was that like?
It's funny because when I think about going live, I think about standing in front of a live audience. And so my very first experience was in a role as director of development for a nonprofit. Had to give a speech, and I remember the nerves the first time, and I had like notes, pages and pages of notes, and I was so prepared. And then when I got up there, I didn't even look at the notes. And I don't know, good or bad, it's just my instinct is to kind of have all the forethought on paper and be prepared, but then to really shoot from the hip because I believe it's more sincere. So my first live was probably close to 3 years ago now. And it was with a gentleman in a similar business. He was a content marketer. We had this fantastic conversation. It felt like we were just two friends hanging out. So I really loved it. I was disappointed to find out that he didn't save the live. Oh no. Yeah. So we probably should have chatted about that in advance. But, stories, I think, prepared me. I've been on stories for years, and just talking to the camera, I just kind of act like I'm talking to my neighbor, talking to my friend. But there's definitely some anxiety, I guess, when you go live, because I don't know, you just feel like you're on a stage. So that's why I always equate it back to that first experience, given that very first speech.
How did you do, my throat will seize up on me when I don't know what it is. Like, live on camera, I'm fine. But if I'm on a stage in front of people, then it's like nothing works with me. Nothing cooperates down here. How did you do with that?
Yeah, again, I just look at all the faces and just try to make eye contact. And I always say to myself before I'm prepared to give a speech of any kind, whether it's on camera or in person, they don't know what I know. I'm offering something. And so even if I flub this up, they don't know what I was going to say anyway. You know what I mean? So I play mind games with myself, and my body then plays along. But I do get cotton mouth, so I do have to keep a water next to me. I get really hyper and very just kind of extroverted. That's all right. Very extroverted. So sometimes I do feel that for sure. But it's mind games. I really think if we can just get out of our own way, that's half the battle.
Yeah, I agree with you, definitely. So you were mentioning that you felt comfortable doing that, but then live, like doing live on camera on Instagram, how's that?
Yeah, I think part of it is you just never know what technology's going to do. If it's going to play along. And it does affect you if you are aware and can see the numbers and you're like, one person is watching this, again, with the mindset. So I think I just felt more responsibility and felt more anxious when I was carrying a live, when I didn't know who might show up or what they might need to know. Whereas with an in-person audience, you have a prepared audience who has come to buy tickets, or they're there to support a fundraiser or some sort of event like that. So it's just a different ball game. But it really is, I think, the stories that you say to yourself. What do you think about that?
I definitely agree. My first live was probably about 3 years ago now. And I was so nervous. And, I for some reason, I was like, if I get on here and that number up at the top is like 0 the whole time, even though I was with another person, I was like, I don't know. I put it in my head that I was going to be a failure, I guess. Yeah. But it's so not the case. We can download the video, unlike your friend that didn't do it when you did that first live, but we can download the video, we can share it, people can replay it on their own time and watch it when it's convenient for them. So once I got over that initial panic of, oh my gosh, what if nobody shows up, and started seeing people engaging with my live after the fact and saying, hashtag replay, I'm in here watching your live. And that was the kick that I needed. And that was like, oh, okay, well, it's not that bad. Even if people aren't able to join at the time, they'll join after and still get the benefit and still get what they needed out of it. So that was a huge mindset shift for me.
I think that's so powerful too, because when you think about it, when people are coming to you after the fact, they're not getting noticed, right? Whereas on this live, as people join us right now, they can have community themselves in the comments and they can see one another. So to me, it's even more powerful, or it has even a bigger statement or effect on me when they show up and watch the live later. They've chosen to be at your table, right? So that's very powerful.
I absolutely agree with you. Yes, absolutely. So, what is your opinion on how important it is to actually show up on camera?
Yeah, I think I feel like there's probably a very rare person out there who just loves it, right? Who's just like, I can't wait to get on camera today. Um, but unfortunately, I really believe no matter what industry you are in, it is so, so critical for your business that your audience sees your face. I think that's very, very powerful. I would say it's getting to be just as powerful that they also hear your voice. Because everybody's hurrying, everybody's, looking at things within a matter of seconds and trying to make a decision, often a buying decision. And if I can see your face and attach your voice to that and hear your tone and your sincerity and your believability and all of that, I think it's incredibly important. I have clients fight me on this because they're busy and they just want me to run, their accounts or to take care of their marketing, which I'm happy to do. But I always say to them, please help me help you because you are the face of your business. Shalee is not the face of your business. You are the face of your business. So I think it is really a non-negotiable these days. And I'm baffled at how many accounts, especially on Instagram, that I see that have tremendous followings. And I can't find a single photo in a highlight. I have never seen their face on a story. There's one that comes to mind immediately who has just done amazing and is a great teacher. But this person remains faceless, I'm curious. And I think that's part of the draw too. I think our audience is curious about us. I think they're curious about our likes and our dislikes, and it all kind of funnels into that know, like, and trust factor.
That's exactly what I was thinking. When you were talking, I was thinking about that know, like, and trust, the biggest one being that trust. We trust things that we can see, that we can physically see. So when we look at somebody's eyes and see how they are and how they speak and what they say, well, even more than what they say, but how they say it, then I believe that adds to that trust factor for your business.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's like gasoline, I think, for your brand. I have a client that comes to mind who I tried to educate him gently about this in the very beginning when we started working together. He is somebody who works for a franchise, basically, but he's in real estate, so you know where I'm going with that. And I feel like we so often want to lift up our agency or our franchisor or our organization, but I kept trying to communicate, you are the face of your brand. You are the people that people build trust with. Sure, there's a reputation behind you, and that's fantastic. But what if you wake up tomorrow and you want to become your own agency? And now you've lost essentially that work that you were trying to build because you weren't building your personal brand at the same time. And I think that is especially where the power of your face and voice comes into play.
Agreed. Now, how often do you suggest to people that they actually show up on camera or show their face?
Well, there's a difference between what I suggest and what actually happens, right?
Right?
No, I need to maybe suggest a little more aggressively. But I believe that we need to be on camera every single week. And I think that's because, and I don't know that there's a stat behind that I could pull out, but I think because of that speed in which we're taking in information, and you may reach somebody with a piece of content on a Monday that you may never reach again with any other content. We don't really have a guarantee of when you get that opportunity. And so if they go to your stories that day and you're not there, or there are no lives to look at, or there are no reels to look at, then maybe that's a missed opportunity. Who's to say? But I think being on camera every week, and I need to be better about this. I get in the weeds of my business sometimes and doing the work for my clients that, we put ourselves on the back burner sometimes. But I believe talking on your stories at the very, very least is something that we should do every single week.
Yes, I definitely agree. I did, I do the Faceless Reels post every Friday. And when I first started doing that, salespeople were coming at me saying, you cannot, they need to show their face. People need to show their face. And I totally get that. And I 100% agree with it. But like you said, it doesn't have to be in your posts. It can be in your stories. Actually, that's where I tell most of my students, that's where you should start. Start in stories. It's so much easier. It's, you can just do it. It's gone in 24 hours. You don't have to worry about it being on your feed forever and ever and ever unless you delete it. So it's a lot easier, I think, for people to start on stories, and people who are looking for faceless reels up, ideas typically are a little more shy on camera. So stories are the place to show your face. Stories are the place to start and get over that discomfort and start, speaking your voice and letting people hear it and letting people see your face. So yeah, I love that you mentioned that about stories. At least jump in there. And I agree with you on once a week or so. Because like you said, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity for trust that you may not get back. So you want to show up as often as possible.
Well, and can I just say too, Ginger, and I'm sure you agree with this, we need to remember, and I think it's good just to remind the audience that you don't have to be made up and ready to go every single day. Again, the audience doesn't know what you know. I can be in my pajamas with my, my slippers on and have not a stitch of makeup on, but I'm going to show you a fantastic picture that I took last Tuesday. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't even have to be live, or it doesn't have to be necessarily in the moment, because the key is you're trying to connect with your audience. They don't care if you're having coffee in your slippers right now, they just want to know more about you. And so I feel like stories is like it's like a playground where your friends are, because that tends to be your warmer audience, right? The people who watch your stories are more interested in you as a person. And so to me, they're like friends and family. And so it's just a lot less pressure maybe than something like you and I are doing right now.
Right. So that was going to move me into my next question. Where should you show your face? So when you're talking to your clients, do you tell them exactly kind of like what I was just talking about with start in stories? Is that typically the advice that you give them to start out with?
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes what happens is people come with the buzzwords that they've heard about. So maybe they know the term reels, but they don't really know what it entails. Or maybe they know that TikTok is a big deal, but they don't know what that entails. Oftentimes they'll come to me talking about SEO or paid ads. And I'm like, whoa. Let me look at your social media presence first, because if you're not showing up there, that's where people are naturally going to go when they find your paid ad, right? Or when they kind of land on your website because that you have great SEO. So I like for them to back up, slow down. Let's just start with, what do you do on a Monday? Let's highlight that. How do you start your work week? Because your audience will be curious about that. Because it's not sales all the time. It's about building community and building relationships. And so your stories are a great place to do that.
Absolutely, 100% agree with you. Don't put the cart before the horse. Make sure that you have systems built and things built for your audience before you start doing some of these things.
Yeah, I love the colloquialisms. Oh my gosh, I used that the other day, and somebody from across the globe made a comment about it, and it just it made me so happy. I'm like, it's a Southern thing. Just ignore me. I'm just saying one thing goes before the other.
Do the thing first that needs to go first. Yeah. It's not everybody gets that analogy, but it's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's talk about a little bit more about context of showing your face. So do you think that there are times that we should show our face more? For example, a product launch, or when we're trying to grow, or things like that? Are there certain specific times that you think it's more important to show your face, maybe more than once a week on your account for your business?
And I think that's a fantastic question, and a great point. And, it's funny because we have to also step back in any conversation we're having about what you should do or you shouldn't do, and recognize the fact that everything should center around a strategy, which I know you and I completely agree with. So as part of that strategy, especially if there's a coming launch or something like that, that we got to up the ante, right? We've got to increase We got to increase that notoriety. We've got to make sure that we're in front of our audience, that we're reminding them, that we're placing the proper message out front. And that is best done with our face and our voice, in my opinion. I think that is backed up with, great content with carousels and single images and that sort of thing. I feel like if you're at the place where you're warming your audience up and you're going into a launch period, then you need to be showing your face. You need to get comfortable showing your face pretty much every day, for the reason that you and I already talked about, right? We don't know who we're reaching when. We're hoping that we're attracting the right audience with the awesome strategy that we've created. Or if we've outsourced that to someone like me or you, that someone else has created. And we need to just be willing to kind of get out of our own dang way and get out there and do the thing that has to get done. And I really, and I'm speaking to myself here too. I'm sure you can relate, Ginger. There are days where you're just like, nothing could excite me less than, getting on my own account and dealing with stories or this thing I'm about to warm up to launch for. I'm about to launch a new website, for example. I knew this weekend I've got to start talking about this thing or they're going to not have any idea what's going on. And it's just getting out of your own way and making it kind of like you do with your exercise. Or, I brush my teeth every day, but I don't contemplate it first. I just go in there and I take care of brushing my teeth. So to me, when you're in those periods where you're expecting high return, then you have to put in high investment yourself by showing up.
Absolutely. I love that you said that. Yes, absolutely. That's exactly it. It's what we do. It's the habits that we create that build up for the results that we can expect for our goals. We cannot expect anything if we're not taking action and doing the things that are necessary for it. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear this, but showing your face is one of those things. If we're not putting in our effort and putting in our time, and I think that we're way more critical of ourselves than other people are going to be. Everybody messes up on camera. And the last live I did, I was on with 3 other people and I said the wrong thing twice. Like afterwards, I'm thinking, what was I thinking when I said that? Why did I say that? Like completely, brain fog when we were doing the live. But it happens. And people never, people did not message me and say, what I was thinking about myself. I didn't say anything about that. They were just like, yay for being human, because yeah, exactly. We are all human. We're all going to mess up. We're all going to lose our thought. We're all going to think afterwards, I wish I would have said this or I wish I would have said that. Write that note down and do it next time. Say it next time. Get on a live on your own and say it. Whatever you've missed, there's always opportunity to come back and get on camera again.
Well, and I feel like as I kind of contemplated our topic today, I just kept going back to it really is about mindset. It is about recognizing these things, kind of letting our pride go down a little bit because, we all want to look good and feel good and present well, of course. But the truth is, I don't think our audience cares at all about perfection. They care about your genuine, sincere experience and your ability to connect with them right where they are. And guess what? They are human. Then they're nervous and they're going to mess up. And if you set the bar so high that you almost seem untouchable, and I think of a few faces on this platform where I'm like, wow, if I could just get to that level. And I'm like, no. They had to fall and trip and struggle to get there as well. We all do.
We all do. Everybody does. We've all been there. Well, reminder to people, if you have any questions, Christy said, it's great to show up more when you're promoting something. Absolutely, Christy, 100%. And again, it goes back to the trust. When you're building trust, that's when you want to show your face more because you have more opportunity to create that connection with people. Even though it's a one-sided conversation when you're doing a reel or doing a story or even a live, I mean, it's a conversation between the two of us, but for viewers, it is different. But even that one-sided conversation gives people a sense of who you are and what you're all about. A little bit more than what we can squeeze into a caption or a carousel or...
Because now, of course, brevity. We're all preaching brevity because we're all so rushed and we get a few seconds to capture attention. We talk about the power of the hook and all of that sort of stuff. So the truth is that there's so much more you want to pack into that carousel. but you know that you're going to pay everybody to sleep. But if you're having a conversation, it's much more engaging and hopefully enjoyable and entertaining. But I just feel like too, back to what you said about trust when you're doing a launch and showing up. I also feel like, and I know without even saying it that you agree with this, that in those times where you don't have something that you're selling, that you're promoting, something big, like a launch, don't take advantage of your audience by dipping out on them. They never see your face for the next 2 months, right? Unless you're there to sell something, because there's nothing that will break trust in a hot second like that would.
Absolutely. That goes with all efforts. Email, posting. If you are only showing up for people when you are getting some sort of benefit or asking for some sort of benefit, if you are only engaging with people, if you're only sending newsletters, if you're only showing up live or in stories or showing your face when you are asking people for something, that will definitely make them lose trust in you very quickly. You may have a fantastic launch that time, but the next time you go to do it, people are going to remember, that you didn't show up for 3 months after you had your last launch. So
They will sniff that out, man. They'll say, peace out.
I think that's all the questions I had. I think we went through all of them.
Yes, and we did so good too because we were hoping to keep it about 30 minutes and not put everybody to sleep and take too much out of their day. So I think we did that.
I think so too. Yeah, I like to I personally, and it's not because once you get on camera, it's nothing to stay on there for an hour or however long. But I like to keep them short for my audience just because I want them to be able to go about their day and not have to spend a whole hour with me. But just a short, quick, here's some tips, here's some information. So I really appreciate you being on with me today, Shalee. It was so much fun. We'll have to do this again.
I love you, Ginger. I feel like we're Southern sisters. We have been connected for probably 3 years now. So we waited way too long to do this. I really, really appreciate you inviting me, and thank you for having me today.